Excuse me, but I think you're in the wrong place.
The man standing in front of me said in a cold tone. I bet he didn't really realize it was rude. He spoke monotonously, like a machine. I was having a great time just moments ago. How did it come to this? Our first family vacation in a while took an unexpected turn. My name is John Mitchell. I'm an average office worker with a wife and daughter. I'm nearing retirement soon, and once I retire, I just want to relax with my wife. When I say I got married at 37, some might think that's a bit late. I have focused solely on my job since joining the company, never really considering marriage. I thought living alone was just fine. Then one day, I suddenly found myself on an arranged date. My nosy aunt took it upon herself to set it up, seeing me alone for so long. She shouldn't have. I felt reluctant, but I didn't want to be rude and cancel, so I had no choice. And that's when I met Catherine. I fell for her at first sight. She was around my age, a very calm and kind-hearted woman. She must have been raised with a lot of love. She had a serene personality, and that made me feel safe. I made an aggressive move on her, started dating, and a year later, she became my wife. Oddly enough, though I'd never been interested in starting a family before, after getting married, I started thinking that I would like to have children. She felt the same, and we tried everything to have a child. But life was tough, and even at the age of 40, we still hadn't conceived yet. Around this time, we began volunteering to foster rescued dogs and cats, taking care of them as if they were our own children. We had almost given up on having children when my nosy aunt approached us again. She brought up adoption through an acquaintance who worked at an orphanage. By then, we were in our mid-40s and felt uneasy about raising a child, but we thought it might be our last chance and visited the facility. That's where we met Sarah. The first time I saw her, I thought she resembled my wife. She was just 2, but she had a calm demeanor and was just so cute. And so, she became our beloved daughter. Without the usual transition to parenthood, it was quite an adjustment for us. We sought advice and listened to stories from experienced parents, and we found out there was a big difference between knowing and doing. Together, with its ups and downs, we raised her. 14 years later,
time sure flies,
my wife said, gazing at our now adult daughter, Sarah. I'm just grateful she grew up healthy. Sarah, influenced by her mother, grew up to be a kind woman who loves animals. She's currently attending a university with a veterinary program, aspiring to be a vet. Despite our busy lives with work, school, and daily chores, we decided to take a family vacation this summer. Coordinating with Sarah's summer break, I applied for summer vacation at work. Combining her 16th birthday celebration, we booked a famous luxury hotel in a mountain resort in the Rockies. It's okay to be luxurious every once in a while, right? Sarah mentioned moving out after graduation, so we may not be able to go on family trips for a while. The day finally arrived, and we were all excited. First of all, we headed to a bird sanctuary in the Rockies. We listened to the tour guide's detailed commentary as we observed the wildlife. It was a place my wife had always wanted to visit. Watching her get so engrossed like a child, I felt contented and thinking, I'm glad we came here. Next, at Sarah's request, we visited a horse riding club. Riding a horse was one of her dreams, so it finally came true for her. While I was taking a delightful photo of her, I felt nostalgic thinking how she has grown, and I felt tears welling up in my eyes. Maybe it's my age, but I've become more emotional lately. I wonder if I could hold back my tears if she ever got married. As the sun set, we finally headed to the hotel. This is incredible. As we stepped into the hotel, I couldn't help but let out a sigh. It was truly lavish. A sparkling chandelier hung from the ceiling. The spacious lobby was lined with luxurious sofas and tables. I wonder if we're out of place here, I whispered to myself. When I glanced at Catherine, my wife, she looked tense and was seeing the surroundings. She must have been feeling nervous. I'll go check us in, just sit tight. I left our bags with them and headed to the front desk. It seemed to be peak season, as there was a long line at the desk. After waiting for a while, it was finally my turn. I gave my name to the female staff at the desk, but she looked confused. She asked me for my name and phone number again. After providing it, she said, "I'm sorry, Mr. Mitchell, but I can't find any reservation under your name for today." Panicking, I showed her the confirmation email I received from the booking website. "I definitely booked for 3 of us today. Could you please check again?" As I was pleading, a man came out from behind the front desk. His name tag read manager. The manager listened to the female staff, then looked at me with a skeptical face and said,
Excuse me, sir. Are you sure you're at the right place?
For a moment, I didn't understand what he meant. I'm sure it's this hotel.
We are a luxury hotel, you know. You've got some nerve coming and dressed like that.
The manager stared at me a once-over from head to toe. I see what he means. Indeed, my attire didn't match the upscale ambience of the place. I was wearing an old t-shirt and pants splattered with some mud. There was a reason for my appearance. You see, there was a little accident at the horse riding club. Just when we were about to leave, it started raining heavily with thunder, so we rushed for shelter. However, Sarah spotted some staff members trying to round up the distant horses and rushed over to help. I quickly followed her, and together with the staff, we managed to get the horses to safety, but not before getting completely drenched. Fortunately, we had spare clothes in our bag. She changed into a dress, and I into my old t-shirt, but I didn't have spare pants, so I just wiped them off with a towel and headed straight to the hotel. I tried to explain to the manager, "I'm sorry for the way I look, but we do have a reservation," but he didn't seem to listen.
Therefore, I think this reservation is for the rundown hotel next door. We cater to the affluent, you know. If you're just browsing, please leave.
The manager was stubborn and unwilling to check. It might be pointless to argue further. There were other hotels nearby, so we could ask if they had vacancies. As I turned to leave, my wife stood there.
You should pick your battles.
She wasn't looking at me but was staring intensely at the manager.
Mrs. Mitchell.
He suddenly freaked out and turned pale upon seeing my wife. Why does he know her name?
If this is the hospitality you provide, if this continues, I might reconsider our contract.
My wife, who's usually calm, seemed quite upset. What's going on? I asked my wife, not understanding.
Sorry to surprise you, but actually, I'm the one who provided the land for this hotel.
What? I knew her family owned land and had passed it down for generations, but I had never heard of the details.
My father entrusted me with this land, which was brimming with beautiful nature, so I've always wanted to protect it.
It seems she initially strongly opposed the idea of building a hotel here. But she was convinced by the hotel's founder, who promised never to harm the lush environment. He wanted to make it a place where visitors could truly feel and appreciate the richness of nature. Knowing my wife, who cherishes plants and animals, she must have struggled a lot with the decision to lease the land. The only condition for offering the land was to create a place that is loved by the best environment and hospitality. But since the change in management, things have apparently shifted. The hotel took a luxurious turn targeting the affluent, starting to cut down the beautiful greenery within the premises to add more rooms. Its lavish interiors became the talk of the town, covered in various media, but it seemed to have gradually deviated from its original concept. When my wife visited here previously, the manager apparently managed to deceive her.
Where has the hospitality gone, where we used to welcome guests like family?
Looking into my wife's pleading eyes, the manager turned pale and said, "I'm truly sorry," apologized over and over again.
Actually, ever since that big hotel opened near the train station, our guests started to decrease.
That's no excuse.
He desperately searched for words, apologizing repeatedly to both of us. It seems after being covered by the media, they had a more diverse range of guests, some of whom unfortunately had Poe manners. The manager had become paranoid, overly cautious of new guests. Later, he reconfirmed our reservation. Apparently, there was a temporary glitch in the integration between the booking website I used and the hotel system. The manager called the booking site's representative and confirmed our reservation. The hotel was fully booked, but he took us to a room set aside for emergencies. For dinner, we enjoyed a course meal in celebration of Sarah's coming of age. As an apology, the manager offered several dishes on the house. While the evening had taken an unexpected turn, in the end, we were treated to a lovely room and delicious food. Relieved to have secured a place to sleep for the night, I felt drained. All's well that ends well. Or so I thought. The journey wasn't over. Just as we were about to go to bed after a bath, my daughter hesitated and spoke up.
Dad, Mom, you guys have a minute.
Saying that, she took something out of her bag.
It's a letter of gratitude. I usually feel too embarrassed to say these things, but I thought I'd take this opportunity.
My wife and I exchanged surprised glances.
We didn't realize you had prepared something so special.
Catherine replied with joy.
Since it's a big deal, I'd like to have you read it.
She was blushing, but went on to read the letter.
Mom, Dad, I've finally turned 16. I'm an adult now. Thank you for raising me. I couldn't believe it when I first heard we weren't related by blood. After all, many people have told me that I look and act a lot like both of you. By spending a lot of times together, we might become a real family. Both of you always seemed self-conscious about your age, like when you came to my elementary school sports day or parent-teacher conferences. All my friends' parents were so young, and you'd apologize. But to me, you two are the parents I'm most proud of. After I graduate, I want to dedicate myself fully to helping the animals I love. And someday, I want to repay your kindness. I'll take you wherever you want to go. So let's have another family trip together. Please stay healthy and live long. I look forward to our future together.
After reading the letter, she smiled shyly. I was fighting back tears. Next to me, Catherine was hugging Sarah, tears streaming down her face. "Why are you crying?" Sarah said with a laugh, her eyes glistening with tears. We spent the night reminiscing about our past memories. Even though we stayed up late and were sleep deprived, the next morning felt incredibly refreshing. I'm truly blessed to have such a wonderful family. I want to spend the rest of my life with this precious family.